Today, we are going to think like a millionaire. Hi, my name is Missy. I am the host of the Queen Rising podcast. And today, I want to help you transform how you think about money. So, we're in the final weeks of 2025 as I'm recording this. And I want you to understand in order to have a different experience in 2026, you have to think differently. You have to make different decisions. And today, I want to talk to you about a couple conversations I have had over the past few months with Chachu T about how to think about money differently. And so I have had different businesses over the past decade. So if you're not familiar with my story, I started working from home when I went to school for accounting. I had an accounting job. I worked a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. My son was really little. He was 2. And so my son has special needs. He has intellectual disability, although at 2, we didn't know what he had. We just knew that he wasn't talking. He was very much delayed in his gross motor skills, his fine motor skills, all of it. And I knew I needed more time at home with him than what I was currently getting. And so I'd gone to my boss and asked if I could go down to 4 days a week because other people in the office, they were taking Fridays off or they were working from home on Fridays. And so I thought, okay, if other people are doing, why not can't I? And in the job I was doing, I got most of my job done Monday through Thursday. And then on Fridays, I had 2 hours of work. So in an 8-hour shift, I was pretty much sitting there doing nothing. So my thought process was like, I could just get all my work done. I could just hustle, maybe just skip a couple lunches and get all my work done Monday through Thursday. And then I could take Fridays off and have an extra day with him. But 2 weeks later, I was laid off and they let me know they no longer needed my services. And this is why I'm so passionate about helping women make money around their lifestyle, around their responsibilities. I do not believe that the workforce was made for women. And it definitely wasn't made for mothers and mothers of special needs children. So from there, I spent a few weeks not having any income until a friend of mine came to me and they wanted me to babysit. And I ended up opening an in-home childcare center in my home so that I could watch other kids while I was already home with my own son. So that's how I got my start. And then I ended up transitioning to weight loss coaching because I had my own transformation, my own weight loss health transformation, and other people wanted to know what I was doing. And I felt like what I was doing in my coaching business was more aligned to the lifestyle I wanted, the schedule I wanted versus running in a home daycare center. It was also more suited to like my personality and my strengths. Now, let me just say that there are different kinds of businesses, and I consider myself an accidental entrepreneur. I didn't set out to be an entrepreneur. However, I realized that working from home and making my own money was more in line with taking care of my son. And a few years ago, I heard someone talk about different entrepreneurs have different motivations. Some people go into business so they can become a millionaire. That was never my intention. My intention was to make money around my son so that I could be a present parent and still have money for groceries. So I think before we get started, we're going to talk about how to think like a millionaire, but I also want you to use this with a grain of salt and really get clear on what is your intention. Do you want to become a millionaire because of what it represents and the money and the lifestyle? Or is the lifestyle more important? For me, it was more important that I am able to be present with my kids, And when you start a business, these are things you really need to think about because I wanted to make money in a way that was easy for me and also easy for me to be a mom. Now, last year I got divorced, and my ex-husband said to me, "The only money moves you have is child support." Now, this is classic from the kind of men who want to be seen as providers. However, they are resentful for you because they have to be providers. And I talk about this a lot on my Instagram. So come over, hang out with me there if you want to jam about men and toxicity and men who like the lifestyle of being a family man, but don't actually want the responsibility of it. So these are all things that I'm working towards, and I want to read them to you because I think it's interesting that most people don't think about money in this way. But let's talk about what Chachu T says about how most people think about money versus how millionaires think about money. There is a massive mindset gap between regular people and the working class and millionaires and how they think about money. And it has nothing to do with luck, privilege, or intelligence. It's more about your identity, emotional regulation, and perspective. The middle class think about money as I earn money. Money is tied to my worth, my work, my time. They typically believe that they get paid for the amount of hours they work. Money comes from sacrifice. A good job equals security. Save money, but don't lose it. And debt is bad. They typically work hard, but they're not always strategic. They choose stability over growth. They spend money emotionally for relief or reward. And they typically save for safety rather than building wealth. The main things driving their money decisions are fear, scarcity, and survival. Now, here's the shift. The millionaire mindset, I create systems that generate money. Money is tied to value creation, leverage, and ownership. They think about money multiplies when I put it to work. Skills make money once, but systems make money over and over. They typically think time is more valuable than money, and debt can be a tool. They would rather hire help than do everything alone. They invest early, even before they're ready. They think long term instead of paycheck from paycheck. They buy assets, not liabilities. Assets meaning property, businesses, rentals, audience. They see problems as profit opportunities. Their main emotion that drives their money decisions is power, possibility, and expansion. So a middle class person might say, I want more money, so I need to work more hours or get a better paying job. A millionaire would think, I want more money, so I need to scale a system or an asset that grows with me. So instead of asking, how can I afford this? Ask, how can I create something that pays for this? If you want to become wealthy, it's not about having more money. It's about thinking like the person who already has it. Now, in a different chat, I asked ChatGPT about how a billionaire thinks about money. So I said, think like a billionaire. What is one mindset shift that most people never make? And it said, money is a tool for scaling value, not a reward for effort. Most people stay stuck of trading time for money. You believe your income is directly tied to how hard you work or how many hours you work. Billionaires do not think like this. They focus on leverage, systems, people, capital, technology, and their network. Ask things like, how can this work without me? How can you build something once that pays you over and over? So let me know in the comments, what shift do you need to make around money, how you're earning money, how you're making money, and how you're thinking about money? Let me know in the comments.